If you've been watching me for a while, you may know that I have a great interest in the locations and environments of Five Nights at Freddy's. I've covered the Pizzaplex, Murray's Costume Manor, and I've partly gone over the older games. Today, I want to dive deep into the iconic location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, cover why it works, and how it helps to enhance the experience of FNAF 1. If you all like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for plenty more FNAF videos. I have a lot planned in the next few months, so make sure you grab a slice of that Fazbear pizza and enjoy the show. This building is the original Fazbear location, not lore-wise of course, but it is the very first place we ever get to see in the series. This makes it special, as this pizzeria is the kind of environment that people come to expect from Five Nights at Freddy's. There's a ton of decisions that were put into this building that make it work as well as it does, and they all come together to make something truly amazing. A huge part of that is the scale of the location. It's small, with not many rooms at all. Usually that would mean there's little substance, but that couldn't be farther from the truth here. Every one of these rooms is unique and has something special going on that makes it memorable. Take Backstage and its ominous bear endoskeleton and spare heads. The image of this room is burned into my mind because of how unsettling it is. Every room in the building is like this, from the eerie closed curtain and out of order sign of Pirate's Cove, to something as simple as the Freddy poster in the West Hall corner. Another room that comes to mind is the dining room, with its perfect tables, hats, and chairs, despite the decay elsewhere in the pizzeria. In this case, the smaller scale that Scott worked with was an advantage, allowing every space to be highly detailed and feel alive. Compare any room from this game to one in Security Breach, and you'll notice just how much more realistic and alive the spaces in FNAF 1 feel. The scale plays a huge factor in this. Security Breach is filled with empty and unfinished rooms, while everywhere in the first game feels intentional and well crafted. Another thing that works great with this scale is the animatronics themselves. Since the building is so small, they're never that far away from you, leading to a ton of dread at all times. It also works well with the gameplay, creating some frantic moments for the player. These spaces being so small and compact also show just how big the animatronics are, making them even scarier. One highly memorable example of this is when Freddy is staring into the East Hall camera. He is very close to the camera here. Not only is this scene unsettling, but Freddy is right up against the cam, which is all the way up in the corner of the hallway. Another classic render is when Bonnie is doing the same thing backstage. These husks of metal are huge, and the small scale of the building does a fantastic job at showing this. The point is, these compact spaces synergize greatly with the animatronics, enhancing how truly scary they can be. Speaking of the animatronics, this location is the perfect place for them to be roaming and lurking, not only because of their massive size, but for so many other reasons too. The way they stalk around the space, creeping through the small pizzeria is intense. This partly goes back to the other two camera renders I just talked about, but with many more examples. Freddy stands out especially, lurking in the shadows with every appearance. Whether it's hiding around the corner in the bathroom or looming in the back of the dining hall, he uses these small spaces to hide from view. These shots also help to give these characters quite a bit of charm and personality, which is something you wouldn't quite expect from these guys. Another prime example of this is Bonnie. In Backstage, the West Hall, or even the broom closet, he always looks ominous. This is again because of the tight designs of these rooms. The camera angles and positions, which are a more hidden part of the environment, no doubt also play a big role in enhancing the scare factor of these animatronics. Scott was very clever with the placements of these things, and it leads to some truly terrifying shots on the cameras. One that immediately comes to mind is of Chica in the bathroom hallway. This scene is chilling, and it honestly still creeps me out to this day. There are many shots in this game that evoke similar feelings. Take Pirate's Cove for example. The positioning of this camera makes the cove feel huge, making Foxy a real ominous threat. Same thing when we look at the show stage. The animatronics take up pretty much the entire view, leading to more of that scare factor this game has done a great job at providing. While everything we've covered so far are very important aspects of this game's environment, I've yet to talk about what may be the most vital part of any FNAF location: the lighting. The lighting can make or break a FNAF game. It is one of, if not the most important aspects to get right in the series. A game can feel wildly different, and the animatronics' effectiveness can also completely shift just based on the lighting alone. The first game delivers in this aspect. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is a dark place, and not just because of its history full of tragedies. The whole building is dimly lit, with darkness covering most rooms. It makes sense for that to be the case, considering you're the night guard and the place is closed, but this level of darkness isn't always the case for Five Nights at Freddy's. Security breach would be the obvious example, but I want to use a different one. FNAF 2 gives you a flashlight, which is kinda common in FNAF. The problem is that it makes all those dark rooms on the cameras completely bright. That game has some of the best camera renders in the entire series, but I feel they would be 10 times better with better lighting. The first game restricts itself, with very little lighting throughout the entire building, and very deliberate choices for where the lights are. Take the left hall, for example. Bonnie will come through here and stand at the end of the hall. The decision to put a light directly above where he stands leads to a chilling view that is very effective at scaring people and evoking panic when people see him there. Another great example of the lighting enhancing the scare factor is near the bathrooms. This Chica render is one of the most unsettling in the whole game. The way her eyes and bib pop due to the very subtle light is highly effective at making Chica creepy here. The lighting certainly enhances the animatronics and how scary they can be, but it is also used to make the rooms themselves feel more threatening too. The dining hall is a great example of what I mean. There's a single overhead light in the center of the room, the rest being shrouded in darkness. This leaves a ton of unknown to the space. Anyone or anything could be lurking in the darkness. It adds a ton to the gameplay for a new player, as you never know if you're seeing something in the darkness or if it's all just in your head. Another example of some really effective lighting is backstage. It's simple, but the light shining through the open door is such a strong choice. It being the only light in this room, shining over the bare endo and the empty heads, it's truly creepy and adds to the game in such a good way. One more example I want to cover for this is the East Hall. This one has a light directly in the way of the camera, leading to a bit of a blind spot in the hall. The limited visibility here is highly effective at creating a bit of panic. Overall, the lighting of the original game is done almost to perfection, and is a major reason for why FNAF's first ever environment works as great as it does. You may notice that I've left one space entirely out of this video, and that's because it deserves its own little section. I am, of course, talking about the security office. The office in this game is special for many reasons. This space is one of the most recognizable in all of Five Nights at Freddy's, even after 11 years of high quality, unique locations being given to us. There's again many reasons for this, which we've talked about previously with the other rooms of the building. The trash and the cobwebs make this place feel abandoned and makes the player feel pretty isolated and helpless. The iconic Celebrate poster is ominous, making it seem like the threats are watching you at all times. You can't forget the fan either, becoming a staple in all of Scott's classic games. All of this is cast in a single dim light, otherwise surrounded by the dark voids of the east and west halls. The game forces you into this unwelcoming space for the entire duration of your stay. The player gets no break from Freddy's dark and gloomy atmosphere, and that goes a long way into adding to the horror of this game. This location has so many things to offer, but it also has a ton of unknown to it as well. This unknown space is actually another part of this game's incredible environment that works. There's the obvious kitchen cam, which is permanently shut off, but that's not the only unknown thing about this building. The lack of a clear entrance, this awkward space with an unclear purpose, and a few other things lead to questions. Now, if you know anything about FNAF, which if you're this far into the video, I sure hope you do, you know that questions are good in this series. This very aspect of the original Freddy's location is actually what inspired me to make my most popular video, where I go through and remake this building and a few others. The point I'm making here is that the unknown of this place is another strong part of the environment that Scott built for this game. It's a small touch on top of the large list of things I've already covered in this video, but it adds a ton to make this space really stand out. Five Nights at Freddy's will always be a classic in my eyes, and that is largely because of the iconic location that is Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Scott really did an amazing job with the first game, and improved on it over the course of the series. If you'd be interested in seeing me cover the environments of the other FNAF games, leave a comment down below, and with enough support, I'd be happy to make more. One more thing at the end here, I need some help from one of you. I have a new avatar in the works for the channel, but I'm no artist. I need someone who can make a reference sheet of the character for me, where I can get him turned into a full 3D model. If you want to and are able to help, reach out to me by email, fnafmerchbusiness@gmail.com. I will pay you for it, and I will credit you for helping with the new channel mascot. Again, please reach out if you're capable of something like that. Be sure to like the video if you like it, and subscribe for plenty more Five Nights at Freddy's. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, superstars.